We're back in the hole again, no reference to spy fiction intended after that fight with Mickey. And this time we're going to actually progress the story, but in order to do that we need to recruit or interrogate a bunch of Eugene's underlings. And, you know, while we're going around recruiting Eugene's underlings, we might as well recruit some other people, just for fun. This is Chapter 4, which actually contains one of my favorite recruitable characters, who happens to be a very good grappler. It's a shame we won't be using him very much, because back when I was less good at this game, he was my crutch to beat Eugene. So he has some emotional value to me. As much as anyone in this game can have emotional value, anyway. If you wanted a story with characters you can relate to, well, I guess this game tries sometimes, but Raven is not the right character to choose. Raven's not the guy for that. After we save our data, let's go around recruiting people, and we're going to do it in montage format this time, because none of the recruitable people are particularly special in their movesets this time around. And they're spread all over the fucking place too, so even though I had a great time going around looking for them like collectibles, it probably wouldn't be entertaining to watch. So we're gonna call up some of our gangster buddies and then get to that montage.
I'm done, boss. Got that. I'm your boss. Got that. I'm your boss. Got that. I'm your boss. Got that. I'm done, boss. Got that.
Hold on, we've got to stop the montage for a second because I forgot about this guy. This guy is the Duke, and he likes to grab and throw you over the railing, which will destroy you instantly and force you to restart the fight. The best way to win against the Duke is to back the fuck up and get him the hell away from the platform, like that. He's not coming back up here now. Now that I explained why the Duke is dangerous, and now that we're no longer in danger of being thrown over the railing, we can resume the montage.
I'm your new boss. Got that. 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 I'm your new boss. Got that.
You gotta be kidding me.
So after that mostly successful adventure, our mobster wanted meter has bounced back up to 100%, as can be expected. And we now know where Eugene is hiding out. He's hiding out at the wharf. Who would have fucking guessed? Who would have guessed that Eugene would be at the wharf? I don't know why we didn't just check there first. You can't even check there first. The game won't let you. I don't know why. What makes that even more irritating is that if you talk to the NPCs near the wharf, they talk about how Eugene has monopolized the wharf and they hate how he's running the wharf, and Eugene loves the wharf and he keeps fucking the wharf, but you still can't go inside the wharf because you technically don't know he's there yet. You have to recruit or interrogate some of his men first. I don't fucking get it. Like, even if you haven't been exploring, which you should have been, but even if you haven't been exploring and hearing about how Eugene runs the wharf, it's very obvious he's at the wharf. Because this is that kind of game. You're gonna fight him at the same place he betrayed you. That's how this game works. It's not an unpredictable masterpiece of a game or anything like that. This isn't gonna throw you for a loop. That's not to say the game doesn't have plot twists. The game will try to throw you for a loop. It did not succeed with me personally, because I feel like in order for plot twists to mean something, they have to have some sort of context before they occur. You know, you have to be given a reason to give a shit. Like, you have to care about the characters involved, and you have to be surprised that their behavior would result in the twist that occurred. You know? What? That's not to say you can't have a predictable piece of media that's also good and emotionally valuable, because you obviously can. But Beatdown thinks its plot twists are, like, actually shocking, and it's humorous. Like, whoever wrote this legitimately thought they were writing an engaging plot with compelling characters, and while I will grant the game some of the Godfather endings are actually interesting, You have to want to get the Godfather endings. You have to care. We're over halfway through the game, and tell me, what do you know about Raven, besides that he's an asshole? What do you know about Raven as a person? And I'm not talking stupid shit like what he eats for breakfast or what his favorite color is. I mean his personality, his beliefs, who he is. What do you know about him? Because I can't think of a damn thing. So aside from the basic emotions I have that force me to care about every video game character that I'm supposed to care about because I'm a pushover, I have no incentive to give a shit about what happens to Raven. If something bad happens, if something good happens, I have no incentive to care. Raven's not even a good guy, so if this story ended with Raven being brutally murdered, I would probably be fine with that. And I've watched some interesting stories where the idea is to want the main character to be brutally murdered. But this isn't one of those, because I don't know enough about Raven to hate him enough to want him to be brutally murdered. The worst part is that the writer probably had a very well-defined personality in mind for Raven, and the game's narrative just didn't let him explore it any. This also has the unfortunate side effect of me not giving a shit. It's a good thing I love the gameplay so much and also think the story is funny. Anyway, we're at the wharf now. This guy's guarding the wharf gate, so we need to take him out. Now, if you remember, I said that our buddies act like extra lives. There is one exception to that, if our pride meter is completely gone when the enemy defeats us. Such as this.
I'm taking you out.
This is actually my second time playing this game where Baxter has successfully murdered me as Raven. I would consider Baxter a more difficult fight than Eugene himself, which is kind of bad. But you know, we're not going to take that shit from Baxter. Alright, I've had enough of him. We're going to get rid of him once and for all.
You don't know shite about shite! Damn! You're stronger than I thought!
I hope you enjoyed that, because that's the only time we're actually going to use the beatdown move on someone. And because we did use a beatdown, our police wanted meter immediately skyrockets to 100%. That's how that mechanic works. So there is pretty much no reason to ever use the beatdown option in the negotiation menu unless you just really feel like watching the animation that badly. Or you're just that into the game's title. Anyway, now that we've killed Baxter, the gate to the harbor is open. So we can go in there, find Eugene, and destroy his ass. After I'm done pumping our body full of drugs. I find the wharf to be interesting because while most of this game is an open-world JRPG, once we actually enter the wharf, it's more of a linear beat-em-up, the kind of thing that people might expect when they play a game called Beatdown. We walk inside the wharf and then we fight different groups of enemies progressing toward a boss battle, and it's the kind of thing you probably, imagine when you think 3D beat-em-up. But don't let the changed structure fool you, because even though after we enter the wharf the game suddenly becomes way more linear, there is something very optional and very special we need to do here. It's very easily missed, but if we do miss it, then we can't come back and get it later. The wharf is composed mostly of incredibly small corridors packed with enemies, so you may figure the idea is simply to proceed straight to the giant red glowing dot on the map, and try and not get hit by the guy with the barrel. His name is Animal. The barrel hurts a lot. Animal just kind of pulls the barrel out of his ass and tries to beat you with it. But anyway, you may figure the idea is just to proceed down the linear corridors to the red dot, but if we go inside of one of the warehouses, which granted you would never think to do, because we're supposed to be tracking down Eugene right now, but let's say you're just that curious and you decide to go inside one of the warehouses. your reward is just seemingly some more dudes to beat up. Like, you walk in here and like, oh, look, it's just more people to hit. And you know me, I enjoy some good people hitting. I play a lot of games where you do people hitting, specifically with your fists. I'm really, really into those games, so this isn't a bad reward, but that's not why we came in here. Because tucked away, after we finish killing these fuckers... There we go. Because tucked away in the very corner of this warehouse, there are some stairs that lead to the basement. And keep in mind the game gives you no indication that you can or should come in here or that these stairs exist. Please keep that in mind.
Gina!
Did you come to rescue me?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Damn, you're one tough chick. How'd you survive that?
Shit. You make it sound like you'd be better off with me dead.
At least we know your mouth still works.
Well, you helped me out, and I appreciate it. You want revenge, right? Why don't I tag along?
So, you know, yeah, that's Gina, one of the 5 protagonists you can choose from at the start of the game. She's just kind of hanging out here, in this area that nobody would ever think to come to unless they had a strategy guide. And again, this is entirely optional. You don't have to find and rescue Gina. And if you defeat Eugene without rescuing Gina, then you can't come back and get her later. This is the only time you can ever get her. This game is just kinda absurd like that, and the only reason I found her personally is because I meticulously explored everything I could. But now she's in our party, and if we die, we'll be able to switch to her, and she has some pretty interesting moves. Hopefully we won't need to switch to her. After this mission is over and we defeat Eugene, we can also call her whenever we want. But she can also choose to deny our request, which is weird considering we saved her ass. Like, sure, owing someone a life debt, that's a little weird, but we're a fucking mobster. That's what we do. That's a thing we do. So right now our party consists of Gina and Hazard. Hazard is one of my favorite recruitable NPCs. He's that really good grappler I was talking about. And like I said, Gina has some interesting moves that you can use to cheese out the AI if you use them carefully. But anyway, now that we've found Gina, who is an incredibly well-hidden collectible, we're gonna go fight Eugene. So after we beat up some more guys we've already beaten up before, we have to navigate the relatively small maze of the wharf. It's pretty obvious where you're supposed to go. You can just look at the minimap if you're confused. There is one final group of enemies guarding the boss door, and 2 of them are new. One of them is Guard. Guard's whole thing is that he guards, so you need to use grapples to get rid of him. The other new character is Elite, who dresses a little bit like Eugene and does a lot of flips and deals a lot of damage, but is otherwise unremarkable. And after we defeat these 2, we can actually fight Eugene finally. I think that pipe just shattered, which I didn't know pipes could do.
Looks like you found me. There are some tough people in this neighborhood. I'm surprised you made it this far. Color me impressed. Never did finish the job I started with you, did I? Your escape was my only miscalculation. I really appreciate you coming right back to where I need you. What do you say we finish this right now? This ought to make up for my little mistake and clear my record. And I'll have no trouble at all pushing my way to the top of the heap.
So Eugene's whole thing is that he has a fuck ton of health and knives. The knives are really the big issue, and whenever he pulls one of those out, you want to get them out of his hand as quickly as possible. Now, back when my brother and I first started playing this game, Eugene would give us a hell of a time. My brother spent over an hour trying to beat Eugene the first time. It was a little painful to watch. The worst part is that Eugene has very pronounced weaknesses to the character my brother was using. But now that we got rid of his knives, he's no tougher than your average recruitable named NPC. He has more health, sure, but our tricks will still work on him. Mostly the grappling. Mostly the grappling. This is why Hazard really saved my life the first time I fought Eugene, because Hazard is great at grappling, and I just grappled Eugene out of existence in a series of grapple chains. But yeah, he's surprisingly easy after you figure out how to cheese the game.
Damn! You're stronger than I thought.
So, this is as far as my ambition could take me. I don't have much time left. I'll let you in on a little secret. The one who trapped you and set up the betrayal, it wasn't me. It was Zanetti. He's afraid. He's always afraid. He knows you're powerful. We've been marked for a long time. All of us. Even me. That's why he ordered me to go after you. The plan was to take care of all of you. At the very least, we could frame one of you as a traitor. You gotta admit, it was a good plan. A dirty plan, but... At any rate, I was just another one of his pawns. I failed.